Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this morning for Paths to Publication. I'm your host, Marine Kashyap. Guys, we're so excited to be here with Dr. Beverly Irby today. For those who are new to Paths to Publication, this is a virtual event hosted by the Center for Research and Development in Dual Language and Literacy Acquisition, the ELRC Education Outreach, and the Graduate Student Advisory Council on everything that students need to know regarding writing, publishing, research grants, and the overall graduate experience. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to type them in the chat box and we'll come to those towards the end of our discussion. And with that, I would like to introduce Dr. Beverly Irby, even though I don't think she needs an introduction. Dr. Irby is a Regents Professor in the Department of Educational Administration and Human Resource Development and serves as a Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs in the College of Education and Human Development. So, yes, and she serves also as the co-director of the Center of Research and Development in Dual Language and Literacy Acquisition, two large university research, development, design, and outreach centers. Due to her multiple contributions in large-scale gold standard randomized control trials, as well as qualitative research and design work, she has received wide recognition for such achievements, both nationally and internationally. Dr. Irby has widely impacted the education field with her scholarly research, theory, grants, and service with specific interests focused on social responsibility, including understanding the interactions of school elements such as leadership, instruction, language, inclusion, and equity, and how these critical components influence student learning and success. We're not finished. Dr. Irby was awarded the 2018 and 19 Regents Professor Award, which is the most prestigious award given to faculty at Texas A&M. Her scholarly impact places her in the top 1% of her field. Dr. Irby represents a living Aggie example who truly honors Texas A&M University's mission as a land-grant institution. Now, without further ado, Dr. Irby, over to you.
Thank you so much, Marine. I would like to know if I could please, okay, I can share. Wonderful.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen, and it's just really great to be able to be with you all today. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? Is it big enough? Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you all for being here and being a part of our Paths to Publication. We are so excited that this continues to thrive and grow and go around the world. I can't see everybody on screen, but I do see my friend Anna Abazali from Georgia. Not Georgia, our state. Maybe there's someone here from Georgia, our state, but this is Georgia, our country. So I know that we have some international guests as well as local and national guests as well. So thank you all for being here. So today I'm going to be talking about, is this a theory, a concept, or a model? And why is this important to even consider? Why should we even think about theories or concepts or models in our publications, in our research? So, and first it goes back, of course, to our research. So I'm going to begin the presentation, and I just wanted to share with you that first of all, I think, can you see me on the screen or just the picture? Anyway,
we can see you. But when you hold up your handbook, though, it kind of blurs with your filter.
Okay, can you see?
We can see the title of it.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
so this is the Handbook of Educational Theories. It was published in 2013. So it's sometimes my students say if we use it as a text in the class that they could just use it for for exercise, because it's really heavy and it's really big, but it has a lot of, it's 1,000 pages or so of of text in terms of theories. It includes Ladson Billings' work in here. She's an author in here, and many other wonderful authors of theories, or who are experts on the theories or philosophies. We also have philosophy as well in here. So we're currently working on about 14 smaller handbooks related to specific topics of theories. And so we're really excited to be able to begin publishing those in the near months coming ahead. So we are excited about that. The second thing is that I have also developed theory. So this has been sort of a lifelong work over the last since the turn of the century, and a little bit before then. But so you can see this was the first theory developed and actually published in the 21st century. So that was published in 2002. So I know a little bit too about development of theory, how it's developed, and why something is a theory as opposed to other things, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. So I wanted to know if there's a difference between or among a theory, a concept, and a model. And yes, there is a difference. And there's a sub-question of, like, well, why should I care? Well, we should care in our research. I care as a scholar, and you care as a scholar and as a role model for others. Because whatever you publish out there, you actually become a role model for others who would be reading your work and reading your research about your research. So you become a role model. And also, I care related to the accuracy of my research. So you would want to care about that too. So let's look at why we would care about a theory or a concept or a model as related to the accuracy of our research. Does that have anything to do with research? And I say, yes, it does. So a theory is just a philosophical term, and it's an ancient Greek, theoria, yeah, and maybe someone else who speaks Greek could help me with that. Originally meaning to look at or to view, just to look at something. And so we have stated in that handbook, as you saw, that theory explains and predicts phenomena in a field. It offers a guide for behavior, and it provides structure to the knowledge base in the field. So that is a broader view of what a theory is. Also, I love Curlinger. I used some of the Curlinger books in my doctoral work, and I have used the work of Curlinger along the way. But I love this in terms of quantitative work, but also qualitative. He defined a theory as a set of interrelated constructs or variables, definitions, and propositions that present a systematic view of phenomena by specifying relations among variables with the purpose of explaining natural phenomena. And also Cresswell, and many of you will know Cresswell, so I pulled his definition. It's a theory provides conceptual definitions of phenomena and operational definitions that enable researchers to measure and test those phenomena. So this is the baseline or the basic information of why we should care that a theory is going to be, and why even if you're working on a dissertation or your own research, your professors might say, well, what is the theoretical framework? Or what is the framework? And we'll talk about, is it a theoretical framework in just a moment. But they might say, please make sure that you have that in there. Well, why is that? Because it enables researchers to measure and test the phenomena, whatever that is, whether, as Curlinger talks about in quantitative, or as Cresswell's talking about in qualitative research. So it really does not matter where it is. We must and we need some type of theory that will help us to enable our research and guide it. So what are the most used theories? I thought, well, this might be interesting for us to know. So the most used theories is, of course, as you all know, Bandura's work. So that might mean that there's a lot of work going on social learning, and for sure right now on SEL, on social emotional learning. So and much of what we do in terms of teacher education or adult education or any type of education where we work with humans, we are talking about some type of social learning and social learning theory. Then Festinger's work on cognitive dissonance theory, that was one that came up as one of the most used. And attachment theory, I'm sure you've heard about that. And constructivist theory. So constructivist theory is Piaget and Vygotsky. Those are that would be their work on that. And so there are many, many other theories as you in your particular fields wherever you are. So, but these were some of the most used theories that I found. So there are important aspects related to theory. So first of all, over on the right-hand side of your screen, the theories, we look at clearly defined variables, constructs, or factors. It could be factors if the researcher has actually studied and validated their work, which a theory should be validated. However, if it's validated, it might be factors as opposed to concepts or domains or variables or constructs. But it does have that in there in terms of a theory. There's internal consistency of constructs, propositions, and definitions. And you heard that those terms as Curlinger talked about it, or as also as we talked about it, or as Cresswell discussed, constructs, propositions, definitions. There are causal relationships, and relationships are defined between or among variables in theories, this in the development and the work of theories. Theories predict future behaviors. So theory is somewhat, it will guide our practice. That would be a future behavior or how we would act as a population, as a society, or as an individual even. It would predict events. It has predictive power. It validates that predictive power validates the theory, and it demonstrates its validity or utility in terms of the actual theory. What is the utility of a theory? So that helps to predict that validity and utility. And then there's a defined scope of applicability with other context. Like my particular theory, we have validated the work and the applicability in Asia, as well as in Latin America too, not only and across the U.S. As well. And with other contexts, not only with, for example, principals in schools, but also assistant principals, also with central office personnel, also with government personnel, with higher education personnel, also with superintendents, with school boards. So we have looked at my particular theory in terms of other contexts and other populations. Okay, a theory also needs to be falsifiable. What does that mean? Well, it can be proven wrong. There has to be enough information published on that theory and an understanding of that theory in order for it to be falsifiable. And so, when you are looking for a theory, to use to base your research on, going back to that predicting future events or future behaviors, in helping you to define your variables, etc., your constructs or your definitions and your propositions. Is there anything that has been talked about in terms of that theory or published on that theory in terms of validating that theory? So falsifying or validating is sort of the two terms that I look for. And also a theory needs to have real world application. How does it apply? And check to see that your theory has been validated. And often theories will have accompanying measures or instruments as well. So we developed the synergistic leadership theory because that we looked at all of the theories in educational leadership, also in business and management. You'll find these same types of theories, but we looked at those. And as we looked back, most of those theories had been developed in the 40s, the 50s. So when a person develops theory, they not only look at the prior research, the history, they have discussions with learned people and scholars and also practitioners. But it's sort of like Einstein when he developed his theory, E equals mc squared. I mean, there were a lot of scientific convention conversations that went on about that. And anyway, as we develop the theories, we want to have those conversations. And so that's part of the development, but also as we move forward, it goes back around and it's part of the validation of the theory. So you want to make sure that that theory has been validated that you are using. Look at the development of the theory. But as we developed going back to that, as we developed our synergistic leadership theory, in reviewing the literature, and also Shake Shaft in the late 80s, I think, had called for this, but there needed to be theories brought to the table that had the female voice also represented in those management and leadership theories. Because if we think about what we observed in the 40s and 50s, if we were looking at leadership and management, where it came out a lot of the theories that we use in educational leadership came out of that area. But the people that were being observed were male, because those were the people who were in leadership and management. In the armed services, the same, in the industries as well. So did someone have a question or comment? Okay.
Right. Could you kindly mute yourselves, everyone else? Thank you so much.
Okay. So anyway, those are some reasons why theories are developed. That's one of the reasons why our theory was developed, because we saw a need. There had been a call for it. And so we set about to develop that theory and then to validate the theory. That's another thing that we found, that theories were only applicable to a certain group or population, not across various ethnic groups or locations. And we are really, really bad here in the US, where we might just take our theory or our whatever construct it might be, and we just say, okay, Anna, here's what you should do over in Georgia. So, but our context might not apply in Georgia. So it would be great if we had additional validation. That's why we've worked in Asia, and we've also worked in Latin America with this. So it would be great to do additional studies in terms of in various locations, and or pull the studies that have been done using these theories that help to compile a validation of the theory and application across the real world. So but we are bad about saying, okay, we're going to take our theory and we're going to make sure that it fits in Tbilisi, Georgia, or whatever. So anyway, we want to make sure that that we are being equitable and fair in terms of our application of theories. So also look at that when you are looking at your theories. Who's used the theory? Where has it been used and with whom? And then when you're seeking a theory, also, here's the other key. Ensure it is, in quotes, it is theory. So we often call concepts or models theories when they are not. So concepts are simple and abstract. Concepts could be a compilation of literature, and it's okay to have a conceptual framework for your research as opposed to a theoretical framework. And please note, those are two different things: conceptual framework and theoretical framework. Theoretical framework is based on theory, not a concept. So a concept is a Latin word, conceptum, that means something conceived. And then Shute defined a concept as a mental image that summarizes a set of similar observations, feelings, or attitudes. I'm going to talk about what my concept of concept is in just a moment. Concepts are used to describe and categorize objects, events, or relationships. So see, there's a little bit of a difference. You can see the word is just describing and categorizing. Concepts help in defining and categorizing phenomena. So you could have a topic that actually wouldn't have a related theory. You cannot find, and sometimes that's true, you can't find a related theory to the phenomena that you are actually studying. And I'm going to tell you how do you go about then developing your concept. And then they provide a way to understand and communicate specific aspects of a topic. And there again, you see my good person there, curling yours there. So here's an example. Motivation is a concept in psychology. So that's a concept. But self-determination theory is a theory. And that explains our intrinsic and extrinsic motivations. So I've used self-determination theory in a paper, in some research that has been conducted on intrinsic and extrinsic motivations. So that was a great theory to use in that particular study. But think about your conceptual framework. So, for example, I might be studying school improvement. Well, off the top of my head, I can't think of what is a school improvement theory, a theory of school improvement, or school enhancement. So what I would do is I would develop my concept or my conceptual framework based on the literature that is out there on school enhancement and school improvement. So I would want to make sure that I cover that literature and I create my conceptual framework on school improvement or school enhancement. So that's just an example of what might be in a conceptual framework, as opposed to a theory like I shared down here, the self-determination theory. So a model. So a model could be the outgrowth of a theory or a concept. Oftentimes in qualitative research, at the end of qualitative research, we a model is developed. So sometimes models come out of qualitative research, which is really a good place to find models. So if you're looking for models, you might look at a good bit of qualitative research and even some of the grounded theory research that where models are an outgrowth of that particular work. So, but it's graphics, it's could be mathematical, it's physical, it's a verbal description, a depiction like what I've shared here. And I don't know who the author is of that, but I just picked it up off of the internet just quickly to pull in just to show you. And it's of a concept or a phenomenon, a relationship, a structure, a system, a theory. And remember, a model can be a model of a theory or aspect of the real world. And so really, I have a model of the synergistic leadership theory. I work a lot with Dr. Rafael Lara, who also has a theory on classroom pedagogy for classrooms with emergent bilingual students there. And so that particular theory has a model as well. So there are various and sundry models. So this is that self-determination theory of what someone put together on self-determination theory. So theory, concept, or model. So distinguishing between or among theories, concepts, and models assists researchers in designing precise studies, developing valid measures for your research, testing hypotheses effectively, and or answering your research questions, contributing to knowledge, and facilitating clear communications. So in the end of your research, you will want to make sure that that theory, first of all, let me go back. So whether it's a theory, a concept, or a model, that is going to guide you through your research, keeping that foremost in your mind, whether it's one of the three. And then you're going to come back to that in the end. So how do your results relate back to the theory, to the concept, or to that model? Or are you creating a new model, perhaps, with your findings? So anyway, you want to think about that and keep that in mind throughout your entire research journey. So, it's sort of, these are two things, but, would it be a cat or a dog, so to speak? There are differences between or among those theories, concepts, and models. So clarifying points. I don't know why that's going away. Why is it going away? Okay, let me go back. That's weird. Anyway, a weird PowerPoint thing. So there are differences. So we'll look down here at the bottom first. So models serve as a simplified representation or visual of concepts or theories, and models help illustrate and operationalize actually theories and ideas in a tangible manner. Concepts represent fundamental ideas or categories, and concepts help define and categorize phenomena, but do not provide detailed explanations or relationships. Now, when you write up your conceptual framework, you might want to try to see if there are any relationships in the literature related to that concept. So you could actually pull in some of those relationships, but those have not been particularly tested, as would be in a theory. Well, okay, here we go. Okay, so theories then provide a comprehensive viewpoint or framework for understanding and explaining phenomena. They give detailed propositions and assumptions about how concepts or constructs are related and how they influence each other. So there are relationships that have been studied for theories. So, are there any questions or comments or additions or anything that you want to add? That would be absolutely fabulous. And I'll leave up my presentation in case you want to go back to something.
Thank you, Dr. Irby. We do have a question which says, is there a link to the purchase the handbook?
Yes, the handbook, let me see if I can find it. It's published by Information Age Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Information Age Publishing. And so that's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Information Age Publishing. And I think it's on Amazon. I don't know if you all around the world have Amazon, but it's on Amazon as well. I'm really not selling the book. I really was just trying to share with you about, my background related to theories and development. And theory development has been noted by some of the top scholars as one of the top level types of research that can be done, because theories then are there and then they help others guide their research, but they have to be developed in an appropriate manner and validated appropriately as well. Maybe
Thank you so much.
Dr. Guerrero, I'm sorry, excuse me, Maureen. I see Dr. Guerrero on. Maybe you could find the link to.
The links are added, Dr. Irby, in the chat. We listed, Nelson and I listed one to Amazon and also to InfoAge Pub.
Oh, thank you so very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Guerrero.
Right, so Dr. B, we have another very interesting question. In developing countries, would you have students start with a conceptual framework to understand the space that they are investigating, then see if a theory applies?
Okay, so I'm going to just say that depends. It depends. So it depends on what you're studying. So if you're studying school improvement, like I was talking about on your campuses, you're going to do a research study on school improvement at 3 elementary schools. I don't know, maybe some of you know, but I don't know of a specific theory that might apply to school improvement, that particular phenomenon. But I think that in that case, I would start with a concept. I would pull all the literature that I could find, and I would actually develop a conceptual framework from that. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Irby. And next we have a comment. So that is from Anna. And she's saying, Dr. Irby, on behalf of Gregor-Robaxe University, I want to extend our deepest and most heartfelt gratitude for the continued and, above all, exceptionally successful partnership.
I can just summarize it very quickly so that I don't give you extra trouble for that. Dr. Irby, I just want to thank you so much. First of all, congratulations on the successful launch of the PES publication program with your interesting and engaging session. On behalf of Gregor-Robaxe University, I would just like to thank you for the continued and most importantly, successful partnership between BRUNY and Texas A&M University. And this initiative, in addition to the on-site research trainings that was conducted from Matthew in Georgia, have proven to be a great resource for our young researchers and also the academic staff. And I saw the numbers. We had around 90 people participating in the lecture, And I say this is a growing number, and that proves it's the success of the initiative as well. Well, thank you once again for your invaluable contribution and partnership that we indeed deeply value, and we look forward to the upcoming workshops. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna from Grooney. Thank you. We appreciate that partnership.
Hi, Dr. Irby. How are you?
Hi, Dr. El-Faraji. How are you in South Dakota?
So my name is Hamad Al-Faraji, and I am serving as an assistant professor, South Dakota State University, and I have the honor to be one of Dr. Irby's students. She was my supervisor, and now we are using the principalship book, and the handbook is one of my favorite books. The picture is a little bit blurry. This is one of the great book I use here. Sorry. And it's a request, Dr. Irby. It's not a question. So can I share the recording with faculty members and graduate students here? Because this topic is kind of like informative topic, clarifying the difference between conceptual framework and theoretical framework and what is concept. So these are kind of like critical topic when it comes to methodology. So would you approve that I share this with my colleagues here?
Certainly. Of course.
Okay.
Irene?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Irene, this will be
Yes,
shared.
absolutely. Yes. Sure. We'll share the link. Yes. So we do have a question here from Cam Kinson. So she's interested in building students' self-efficacy in speaking English in Cambodia, and wants to know what they should do to develop the teaching model regarding the theory.
Is that Kim? Is that Kim from Cambodia?
That is right. That is right.
Oh, hello. Great to see you here. So Kim wants to developing teaching models. I'm sorry, I can't see my this. Hold on one second. Let me see. And student self-efficacy in speaking English. Well, what you might do on that one particularly, you might look at those self-efficacy theory bases and look for the theory on that in particular. I think that would be something, Kim, that you would want to do. And I know that in your action research, you have been looking at various theories or concepts too. So I think you're on the right track. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Yes. Yes, Bandura's.
All right, yes.
And that Bandura's work also on that too. Yes, absolutely.
So we have 5 minutes to go. So if anyone else has questions, please feel free to ask.
I think there's one more question, Noreen.
Yeah, I think it was my question.
Yes,
Let's
hi.
skip. Hi, yeah, I'm Erin. I'm a PhD student here at Texas A&M. I'm majoring in counseling psychology, and I had a question. I think I'm still a bit confused about like how to define theory. So, for example, if I conducted a study and if I found the specific relationship between certain variables or constructs, can I still call that a theory, or do other researchers or like myself, do we need to conduct more studies to validate the relationship to call it a theory? So I'm still like not sure like when we can call a certain relationship that we found a theory.
So you are creating a theory? I'm so sorry, Erin.
No, yeah, well, I think that's my kind of like a goal. Final goal for my study, but I'm not sure like when can I call my study, like if I found the relation,
you want to make sure that you have all of how the theory was developed, the steps and all the components of development of the theory that written down, documented. And you want to do that. And it's, it's both qualitative and quantitative development and validation work. So you want to validate it across various locations and people and levels. I'm not sure what it's about, but you want to think about that. And once you do that, then there's the possibility you could actually promote that as a theory. You put it out there, and you have, as we ultimately did, and then it is peer reviewed, and so then you continue to work on that. And if your theory begs an inventory or an instrument or some type of instrument that would go along with it, then that will assist you as well in further validation. Does that help, Erin?
Yeah, that helps. So I think like additional question that I have. So for example, if I conduct a research with college population and there was some relationship that I initially kind of hypothesized, then because I'm still kind of this theory that I'm planning to develop is only applied to college students, I can't call it a theory yet. Then do I need to kind of like test it to other population or to make it a theory? Am I understanding correctly?
Well, and if it's just Texas A&M, I'm just using this. If it's just Texas A&M college population, that's a closed population. So, I mean, it certainly is valid research. I mean, it's good research, I'm sure. That you might want to really, broaden that and put it out to other locations, other colleges. Like perhaps, there are smaller, more regional. There are larger R1s. There are land grants. There are different kinds that you can actually test your at that point, it would be your concept. And then you can further that as a theory.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr.
So
Irby.
this is your life's work, my dear.
Yeah.
This is not the end. Let me just say, it's the beginning of your research work.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yes, do we have any other questions? I do see one here from Dominique. He says, an applied mathematics model framework, does it relate with educational psychology framework in order to promote teaching for applied mathematics for developing countries?
Look, let me see that question. I'll have to look at that question. Relate with educational psychology framework in order to promote teaching for applied mathematics for developing countries. Well, there again, I would have to make sure that, whatever theory it is, it doesn't matter whether it's this or that. I mean, we have to ensure that we're not just taking a theory from that. I'll just use Erin's theory for the college students here at, and Erin, please forgive me, I'm just making this up, okay? But like it's college students here at Texas A&M University, or some community college or something like that, and then applying it over in, Kenya. We have friends from Kenya. I don't know if any of them are on call, but also in Cambodia, I know Kim is on here. So we would be applying that in Cambodia, we would have to check and ensure that it is the right theoretical base for that particular context, and that we have some validation work going on there. Or you can validate a theory somewhere else, and it's okay. You can use it, and that's part of your research, and validate it there. Or falsified. Remember, I said theories can be falsifiable as well. Oh, there's Dr. Pramer. I see her. Yes. But you are muted, Dr. Pramer.
Well, it's wonderful to hear your presentation. It's so important, and it ties back with the presentation you gave last year on how to pick a topic. And I think one thing that, when you tie these two together, I think that as they're thinking about the theoretical and the conceptual framework, that has to help them develop their research instrument. Otherwise, they're not validating anything. And so I found that, in Cambodia, that you do this iterative process that you described. What is my problem? What does the literature say? Is it contextualized here? What framework can I have? And then you may change that framework or change the concept, but in the end, you pick that, and that's how you define your research instrument. And then if you don't have the questions that relate to that, it's very hard to make cohesive conclusions because you're not putting that research against something where you are expanding the knowledge. And so I think your topic today was so important for building on what you did last year and describing that process. One thing I found very difficult was with working with students in Cambodia, especially in Siem Reap, where they were new researchers and they didn't even understand many of the educational terms, but they also weren't familiar with situations in schools. So it was hard for them to even know where to start. And so your talk last year was so helpful in helping them understand that it is an iterative process. And they oftentimes started with a conceptual framework because they didn't understand the variables in the situation to be able to limit it to a theoretical framework. And so I thank you today for the presentation. I think it's so helpful.
Thank you, Dr. Primer. It's lovely to see you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, with that, we come towards the end of our session. I'm sure there are many other questions and comments. Kindly feel free to email those to us. I will be respectful of Dr. Irby and all our participants' time here. And the takeaway from me is publishing is a responsibility. So thank you so much, Dr. Irby. And thank you everyone for joining in, and really looking forward to seeing you next week.